This is Corey from World Music Nashville, and you are listening to the business side of music.
Success in the music business begins with a dream, a vision. This podcast will give you, the listener, the insight and tools to turn that vision into a reality. Meet the industry professionals who work day by day behind the scenes, helping to make those dreams come true. Welcome to the business side of music.
Hey, this is Bob Bender, and you're listening to this edition of the business side of music with my co-host and co-producer, Vinny Ribas. Vinny, welcome to the show again.
Thank you, sir.
We are taping this episode at World Music in Nashville, Tennessee. They're located at 7069 Highway 70 South here in Nashville. It's kind of a cool little vibe if you get a chance to swing out in this area. It's a music store, but in the back of the music store, they've got a really nice, intimate theater with great sound, great lights, great place. And because of that, we got an audience today. So let's give them a round of applause. One of the things we do on the show, Vinny and I at least strive to achieve, is to find experts in the industry. And this gentleman that we have on now is definitely no exception. Over the past 2 years, Joe Beck has been one of the most successful and prolific songwriters and creators of inspirational-based music in the world. He's had 65 hit songs and over 650 major cuts in all markets, from AC, rock, inspirational, southern gospel, country, and black gospel. He's contributed to 6 Grammy-nominated projects, including the Grammy-winning song The Reason for Diamond Rio in 2010, and has been nominated a dozen times for Dove Awards, having won with Michael English for the song Holding Out Hope to You, which is cool. I had the chance to work with Michael a few years back, and he's got a great voice, so an amazing song. He's received multiple BMI awards for airplay, including the 2004 Most Performed Song of the Year, To Ever Live Without Me. He's written dozens of hits performed by some of the top artists in Christian music, including Michael English, Avalon, Gaither Vocal Band, Jody McBrayer, Phillips, Craig and Dean, and Larnell Harris. His songs have also been recorded by such pop artists as Alita Adams and country acts, as we said earlier, including Diamond Rio. Joe has produced over 30 albums, along with being the head of publishing for Spring Hill Music Company. He continues to compose over 100 new copyrighted songs a year. Joe, welcome to the show.
Honored to be here.
Well, with that all being said, what's up in the world with Joe Beck these days?
I'm into everything.
How is it these days for the songwriter, compared to it was, even 5 years ago? Is it, first of all, you're in a little bit different world when we get into inspirational music, I think, than maybe the songwriter who writes for the Justin Timberlakes or the Leanne Rimes or whatever of the world. How is it in your world?
Well, to address that, because of my age, I was telling your friend, we always wrote everything. There weren't as many categories, but you get successful doing something, and you turn around one day and you're no longer Joe Beck, the Beatle wannabe, but now you're inspirational.
Yeah.
So you change your clothing and dress like it. But all songwriters struggle only because of nothing more than it's just the economy of it. Records don't sell as much as they used to. So if you understand publishing, when records sell, the publisher and the writers make money. Well, if you stop selling records, I don't care where all these songs are going, and it's very flattering, the publishers and the writers have lost a lot of income. And then with the way airplay, for instance, used to be radio was king. So you have a number one radio song, everybody wins, the publishers, the writers, but now you have all these different things, which personally I think is cool. I told somebody I love to be able to type in "You Make My Dreams Come True" by Daryl Hall,
yeah,
and just immediately hear it. I love what it does. It's just a financially, it has never been harder for writers to monetize what they do. It's just and I don't know that it's all bad. I'm not one of those bitter, angry songwriters, but I am one that is concerned about the next generation. I've already been blessed, so I'm on the back half of life. So, but it's concerning that we've created a world where art is free. So that just makes it more challenging. You just have to figure out how do you make a living? It's still like anybody else that does any other job. It's like if Tupperware is overproduced and has competition, you got to figure out how to make more money off
Right.
of it. But it is challenging.
Let's back up a minute. How did you see yourself going into this business when you started? Did you see yourself as a particular songwriter, or did you just want to write music that you wanted people to perform? Or
Most people like me wanted to be, I wanted to be Elton John or Jackson Brown or Andrew Gold. So you really started out as an artist. I did. You played piano bars, you had record deals. Writing was a total accident to me, in that, it's like Robert Frost, two roads diverged. When you're young, you're always coming to these crossroads. Do I continue to pursue artistry, or do I put that on hold and continue to be a writer? This one was dangling cash. This one wasn't. So you went and you became a writer.
Right.
And but no, I never had any. I was always a writer. I never had this big ambition to be a Nashville staff writer. But it's been a lot of fun doing it. But I never dreamed that.
What was your favorite way of writing? Who did you want to emulate, or who did you grow up listening to? Or
Oh, everybody. Like I said, it's a generational. I grew up listening to everything from Gershwin, Oscar and Hammerstein, to the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Merle Haggard. You obsessed with these people. Burt Bacharach's and all that was going on, and the Brill Building, and the Carole Kings, and the Andrew Golds, and the Jackson. You were obsessed with the creation of music. The only difference was, back then we didn't have as many parameters of, my kids tend to stay in their little world, except for when they're around me and I make them listen to,
Yeah, you just brought up a really valid point. When I was a teenager, back then it was more AM radio than it was FM, or FM was more what would our parents listen to, the Henry Mancinis and the very lush music. AM radio was more of the top 40, but it was top 40 of all genres. You might have Carole King followed by the Temptations, followed by Jimi Hendrix, followed by Grand Funk Railroad. You're right. We didn't compartmentalize music back then like we do now. Is that something that you think causes the songwriters? Does it stifle them a little bit, or?
I was blessed with a really, really large, untamable imagination. And I think I was in the perfect setting where I never had limitations on my imagination. But I do know that if you limit it to because we're all just imitators. We grow up with school teachers and kindergartners, and our little brains and ears are hearing all this, whatever we're interested in. And if you limit what's going into your brain, naturally what comes out of your brain is good. I had a mentor, let's call him, who was this cultural icon, and he bought the company. His company bought what was called Benson, which was this large religious company in the 90s. But Wes Farrell's company bought it. But for some reason, he took a liking to me. And I got to know Wes well. But Wes is the only guy I ever met who wrote a Beatles tune. He wrote This Boy for the Beatles. And he wrote Hang On Sloopy. and he was married to one of Frank Sinatra's daughters. So this guy he invented the Brady Bunch. Icon. But he always told me, and it stick with me, he said, always pay attention to what's going on around you, meaning even if you're not into pop, read the charts, who wrote the songs, who produced the record, read country, read bluegrass, because then when you run into somebody, you won't look like an idiot. You'll know who they are. And but my generation was just always into that, all kinds of music, you know. So I try to teach younger people to listen to everything, because it'll bless them, it'll help them.
This is Bob Bender, and you're listening to The Business Side of Music.
You're listening to The Business Side of Music.
Hi, this is Bob Bender, president of Bob Bender Productions. Since 1987, our company has provided consultation and artist direction services for recording industry artists. If you're looking to take your music career to the next level, or simply need advice on jump-starting a project, or marketing one that's been completed, then we're here to assist you with over 40 years of experience in the entertainment business. We offer individual or group sessions, in person, or over the phone or Skype consultations. Feel free to call our office at 661-326-1140 or email us at info@bobbenderproductions.com for more details.
You're listening to The Business Side of Music.
We're back. This is Bob Bender with my co-host, Vinny Rivas, and we're here talking to Joe about songwriters and just the different styles of music. And, you know, you mentioned that you had someone who influenced you when you got into the business. What kind of doors opened for you? I mean, how quickly did things develop for you from that standpoint?
You know, that's an interesting question, because 6 months after I didn't move to Nashville necessarily to go into the music business, because I was already in the music business. But I was probably 22 when I actually relocated here. But an agent friend of mine asked me to get together with this other guy just to see what would happen. And 6 months later, we had a record deal, but it was a country rock band. And so you thought, well, this is my life, even though I didn't much care for that lifestyle, because people that weren't in country music in the 80s, they have no idea how different it was. In the 80s, it was a bar, deal with it. You see it now, and they're so kishy in their fancy clothing, but we did shows with Keith Whitley at the Black Horse in Lexington, and you were always in a bar.
A lot of chicken wire in front of the stage.
It was a bar, I don't care. So you have a record deal, you have songs on the radio, but you're going, I basically play in bars, and your clothing stinks, and no offense to bars if you own one, but I wasn't really bar material. I'm the son of a pastor.
Yeah, right.
And but it developed. A lot of what's happened to me was I had a lot of beautiful accidents happen. Just things that happened that you can't put, you can't design.
Give us an example of one of those.
Well, my whole foray into Christian music happened because I was writing at Famous Music, and at the time, and there's a really big country songwriter named David Wills, who's a good friend of mine, and David had really gotten into his faith, and his wife worked at a bank, and this woman came in and said, oh, my husband is in Christian music, will you? So David goes, hey, this guy Brian White's coming down to write with us today. And I'm like, whatever. And they start talking about Christian music, and I said, well, I have this idea that I was working on, and it was a song I had called Holding Out Hope for You. And Brian goes, that could be that could work. And I'm like, could work? Giddy up, you know. So 30 minutes later, we had this song, Holding Out Hope for You, or to you, I think's the name of the song. But things like that don't happen. And then, you know, even when it got recorded, my publisher happened to be sitting in the kitchen of Mike English's house with his first wife, and Mike walked through to go. They were going to pick the final 12 or 13 songs, and my publisher goes, "Are you going to record Holding Out Hope to You?" And he goes, I don't know. And they both went, "You better." Well, you know, what are you going to say? So I had a lot of really, you know, I had a song that was a very large song called "Can't Live a Day," and you may or may not have ever heard it, but it was a massive religious tune and crossed into pop. But the original song was called "I Can't Live a Day Without Hope," or as I called it, "I Can't Live a Day Without Bob Hope," because for some reason the whole song was "I can't live a day without you," but somebody went, "Nah, that's too normal. Let's call it Can't Live a Day Without Hope." So there was a group called Avalon, and Jana, at the time before this album came out, used to sing demos for us. She loved the song. I want to record this song. But one word kept that song from being on a record until it got changed from Hope to You. Then bang, it's number one, top 20 pop song. So I had a lot of lucky things happen to me, because in the real music business world, you don't get. I always tell that to young writers. If you have a song that's 85% great and 15% bad, 99% of the time it will never see the light of day.
Just from that 15%.
Because nobody is going to take the time to call you on the phone and go, "Hey, this is, you know, I'm the biggest producer in the world, and I just tracked your number down to tell you, can you change that 15% so I can give you a whole lot of money?" It doesn't happen. People don't realize, who aren't in it, when you're finding songs, how many you're listening to, and you go, "Oh, that was so close." Next. You're not sitting there, "Who wrote that? Do I know their mother?" Everything is like that. It moves.
7 seconds to impress.
You don't have, your articles need to be lined up. Your presentation, everything has to be in sync. Now, I say all that, but on 4 or 5 occasions, I was the exception. So, you know, I just got lucky on a number of things.
So when it comes to somebody who's an aspiring songwriter, to me, what it sounds like is you kind of like have to be present to win. You have to get involved and be where you might meet a producer. You might, even if it's not in a formal situation. Would you recommend that?
Yeah, well, you're in Nashville, so you know, the person giving you your Starbucks probably end up being, you know, the lead singer of Coldplay one day, literally. Yeah, and you know, I address the music business as, it's almost like whoever invented that AD-BC or BCAD. We're in a new part where anything I say, like if I was lecturing to aspiring young writers, that would be one conversation. I'm just talking about my past, because it was a totally different game. Can I tell one thing about that? I don't want to eat up all our
No,
time.
you're good.
You know, I say this too. When the heyday of my career was going on, where you'd get, oh my gosh, I'd get 50 or 60 cuts a year, and have 5 or 6 singles, and we complained. You know, that's the way it was. That was just normal. But I told a class this one time, you know, for 20 years, with all these cuts I had, I rarely even knew the artist. It's like they would find your song and record it, and I would use Larnell Harris, this black gospel artist. I'd go, this guy has recorded 4 of my songs, had 3 number ones, been nominated for Grammys. I've never met him. I don't know him. I've never gotten a Christmas card, an email. I don't know the man. But nowadays, in the last 5 years, probably 99% of every song I've ever had recorded in that 5-year period, I had a direct connection with it. So like Diamond Rio, I was setting in Jimmy Olander's house with Marty, the lead singer, writing the songs with them. It's a totally different game than just somebody would just hear a song you wrote and record it and have a hit. That was just normal. So it's a different game for younger people now than the world I was in, where people would record songs. And I can go much deeper into that if we want to make this a 2-hour mini-series.
You're listening to the business side of music.
Hi, this is Vinny Rebus, the founder of Indie Connect. Our goal is to ensure that you have the knowledge, the tools, skills, resources, and connections that you need to develop a profitable and long-lasting career in music. One way we do this is through these Business Side of Music podcasts. I'd also like to invite you to check out Indie Connect magazine, our free multimedia online publication packed with practical interviews and advice from music industry experts. Go to www.indieconnectmag. That's www.indieconnectmag.com. Let us walk with you and guide you every step of your musical journey.
You're listening to the business side of music.
This is Bob Bender, and we're here with Vinny Rebus and Joe Beck. This is very informative when you want to be a songwriter and you're trying to figure it out. I know, we talk about this quite a bit on the podcast episodes about, how the business used to be and how the business is now and where the business is going. What do you see from a songwriter standpoint? If you had to take, Joe Beck today, from everything you've learned over the last 20 years that you've been in the business, what would you offer to a young songwriter today? What inspiration would you try to give them so they wouldn't go running down the hall crying?
Well, I always tell them, I always encourage people that are going into the arts that the first thing they need to do is actually love art. The only reason I haven't quit is because once I learned the B side of Abbey Road and I could play it, I love music, whether it's just me and my dog but I would tell them to love music and learn your craft. But when I was talking to, I forgot your name, Mike. I was talking to Mike. There's another side of younger people that they have to learn now where we got to pass on, and it's the music business. These younger people have to develop marketing skills and sales skills, and they almost, if I met him 20 years ago, I wouldn't have given him the time of day. I would have gone, "You're on the wrong floor, sir. This is the creative floor." Whereas now, I'm more fascinated with him than I am with the guitar players out in the store there. That's what's different that they have to embrace, is the marketing element and all of the things that go around with it. Because just because you're good and you can write, it's not going to be as easy. You're not going to get discovered, most likely, unless you have. I even tell them too, don't be afraid to do what we did in Nashville. Nashville's a very networking songwriting town. There was a reason for that, because me and you write a song, my publisher doesn't like it, yours loves it. See, it's networking. You're tapping me into your world. It's the same thing. Find somebody in your life who's not, a guitar player or a Justin Bieber sound-alike. They're a marketing whiz, and partner with them, because you're going to need that element now more than you ever did when I was in it.
Yeah, the business has changed so much that the songwriter, has to be more. They have to depend on themselves. It seems like more than ever before. I mean, they have to take the initiative to be able to get out there.
Yeah, and I'll plug what I'm doing now. I don't know how we're almost. How
We're
long
good.
going?
We're
Okay.
good.
You know,
That's
one
the
of
nice thing
things,
about podcasts. You can just go
you
on
can
forever.
edit it,
Yeah.
and that would hurt my feelings, but we'll talk about that therapy later. One of the things that hurts newer writers and newer musicians and newer artists, and I learned this the hard way, but believe it or not, you need people in your life. Music business is a team sport. It was hard to learn that because I thought it was all about me, but it's a team sport. And in my career, the 5 or 6 periods where I was extremely successful, it wasn't just about me. I had a really good team. So I was the field goal kicker for the New England Patriots. I wasn't the star. I just had a really good team. But one of the things that I'm offering now, because younger writers, especially if we're just talking writing, they don't have access to people anymore. I was lucky that I had all of these iconic writers who invested time in me for no apparent reason. But you learn from them. You learn the things that cannot be lectured on or at a conference. So out of that came an idea that I'm launching supposedly March 2nd, I think it is, which is mastersongwriter.com. And all this is it just gives independent writers access to hit songwriters. So we've already put together 12 or 13 of them that have had everything from Garth Brooks to pop hits. And you join, and it's like a little college. You get to write for 2 hours with a Grammy-winning songwriter or a hit songwriter. And the thing that comes out of that is knowledge. You see how people who are successful writers write and why they do this without ever lecturing. That's how I learned how to write. You were just all of a sudden in a room, on many occasions in my life. You're in so far over your head. Thank God I could swim. You were in way over your head, but you learned and you clawed. Younger people just tend to do whatever they want to do. I think that's cool as long as there's an element of it that is. I don't believe anything in life is without. That's why the hippie movement didn't work. Sooner or later, you're tired of living in a school bus on a farm. It's just natural. You go, okay. It's the same thing. The more knowledge you have, that's not made up, because that's a modern world too. Truth has never been of less value than it is right now. Truth. Yeah, whatever. If I say it, it's truth. But at some point, if you're going to succeed, the more of this knowledge of why did you do that and how did you do that, combined with your attitude and your vibiness, hey, it's great. But I believe mentoring and I never stop learning. I'm always trying to get better. And you try to give that to younger, and I don't know that our market is younger. This company is not designed just to write with college kids. It's everybody.
No age limits.
There's no age limit.
Yeah.
No.
If you just love to write music and you want to get with other songwriters,
Believe it or not, I have a theory that's one of the main places that art has gone lately, is from everybody wants to be. When I first moved to Nashville, you would even hear it a lot. It's like he's going to be big. Or, man, that girl's the next. Did you hear her sing? I think now the marketplace is more, I have a job. I'm the vice president of State Farm Insurance in Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa. But, man, when I was in college, I had a killer band. Oh, cool. I want to write with Grammy winning. Look at me.
Right.
It's gone to a different place. I've never had more people trying to get into the music business. It's funny because all the people in it are trying to get out.
Yeah.
And I've never seen more people trying to get in it. And but that's all music song. All that is mastersongwriters.com is just you want to write. All right, let's cut to the chase. Shut your mouth. Your writing appointment is Wednesday at 10 o'clock. Here's who you're writing with. Show up with an idea. you're going to be mentored and loved on, and you're going to be thrown like I was into the fire. Here, you're writing with whoever.
Is this something that they will do in person or something they do online?
We're using Zoom. That's on our website. It's all self-explanatory. You click. It's all technology. We're high tech, Bob. You know that. But everything is, you'll have an online appointment.
Sounds great.
Zoom. You have to go to Zoom, but we'll be up probably by the time this show is aired. But we're looking at March.
Well, we'll
2nd.
be on the air tomorrow. So, but
yeah. Okay. Well, just call Vinny's cell phone number if you have questions. That number is
555.
No, but anyway, I'm always trying to find ways to help. It's too easy for creative people just to sit around, right down to Van Gogh, and just cut your ear off and end it all. You know, it doesn't do any good. It's great ganter, but what can we do to help? And I'm always trying to find little ways to help artistic people, whether it's $50 a week or $100 a week. I didn't get into music to get rich. I just always loved music and wanted to do it.
I think if you're going to get in the music business, that's the last reason to get into it, is because you want to get rich.
But it is a blast.
It is.
Anybody who's lived it will tell you that I have had so much fun. I keep waiting to get the bill. It's just been.
Oh, it's sitting on my desk. I'll get.
It's so enjoyable. The people you meet and the conversations and the laughter and the love. But how do we sustain it is what I'm always trying to find ways to help people do. So,
question: is there a song that has not been written yet? I mean, is there a subject matter or a title that, a theme that you think has not been written? Is there still great hits out there yet to be written?
Oh, I'm sure there is. I never run out of ideas, but like I said, I've written some pretty bizarre songs. Chrome Fish, and, everything I write is not, I love you, Lord. I've always had a pretty big imagination. Go to my website and listen to Albino Doe, and you'll go, I think he does kind of need therapy. So I'm not struggling. No, we'll never run out of ideas, and most of us will be dead because they'll just resurrect what we did now 100 years from now.
Right.
I'll tell you a funny story about that. Hal Leonard used to send me these books all the time, because they were one of my reps. And one of them was this old hymns book. It was a coffee table hymns, all these old hymns. And I'm waiting for a person to show up, and I'm sitting at my piano playing these hymns, old hymns that I had forgotten about. So I start playing this one, Dear Lord and Father of Mankind. And I promise you, it was right off the White Album. It was written in 1845, right down to the 2 minor, We're not doing anything new. We're not going to run out of ideas. And I even am one that believes that sooner or later the internet and all the changes will resolve, and there'll be a generation of people that come along that are doing exactly what I was doing, and they're blessed and they're having fun. It'll just be a totally different paradigm than what I lived in. It's just now we're kind of down here figuring it all out, jockeying for position. So I'm optimistic that it'll find its home somewhere.
Joe Beck, it's been great having you on the show. Lots of great stories and information. We're definitely going to get you back when we'll come up with some whole new ideas and topics to discuss here. This is Bob Bender with your co-host, Vinny Rebus, and you've been listening to The Business Side of Music.
The Business Side of Music is the creation of Tom Sabella and Tracy Snow and is produced by Bob Bender for Bob Bender Productions. Co-producer for the show is Vinny Rebus. The Business Side of Music is recorded at Music Dog Studios in Los Angeles, California and Nashville, Tennessee. Production sound design by Keith Stark. Voiceover and promo by Lisa Fuson.